Senator Hagerty.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Madam Vice Chair for your leadership. The committee has now reported 11 bipartisan bills favorably to the floor, and that's an impressive feat. I want to start with an observation. Currently, our country is on an unsustainable fiscal path. We can't continue to spend more than we collect. While the spending that this committee oversees, discretionary spending, is not the main reason for our fiscal problems, it's often the easiest to blame. And ironically, it's the type of spending that will be crowded out by other unavoidable obligations if Congress doesn't get our fiscal house in order. According to the Congressional Budget Office, our debt is growing faster than the economy, and our net interest payments on the debt are bigger than our entire defense budget. That means we'll be paying more in interest payments on our debt than our own national security. Soon the interest payments will exceed all 12 of these bills combined. Growing interest payments will inevitably force either more discretionary spending cuts or more debt, which will only compound the problem. This simply cannot continue forever. We must voluntarily get our fiscal house in order while we can, or the markets will force our hand down the road, and the outcome, I can assure you, will not be pretty. I'm pleased to join Senator Van Hollen today in presenting the fiscal year 2025 committee recommendation for the Financial Services and General Government Appropriations Act. I want to thank Senator Van Hollen and his staff, Jen Becker, Diana Hamilton, Maddie Dunn, Maria Calderon, and Peyton Thomas for working in a bipartisan manner with me and my staff, Dan Brandt and Winnie Chang, throughout the process. The subcommittee hosted 2 hearings this year and received requests from 58 senators that we were able to accommodate. The bill before us today is the result of tough bipartisan negotiations and compromises by both sides. It's a constructive step toward successfully negotiating a final bill with the House. While no one got everything they wanted, the bill includes a host of important provisions that improve the efficiency and operations of the federal government, protect U.S. economic competitiveness, and enhance service for our constituencies. I want to highlight some of the most important provisions in the bill. First, the bill increases funding for the judicial branch, including an $11 million increase for the security and protection for Supreme Court justices. Further, the bill freezes the discretionary budget for the IRS for the 3rd consecutive fiscal year. Third, this bill continues for a 2nd consecutive year hiring freezes at the Securities and Exchange Commission and rejects a $414 million increase requested by the President's budget, while including several key oversight provisions for the SEC's rulemaking process to ensure the public has meaningful input and that proposed rules are based on robust economic analysis. The bill includes critical funding to combat the fentanyl crisis that's killing thousands of Americans every year. This bill also includes critical investments at the Department of Treasury. Finally, while this is an important step, I want to be very clear that I don't support everything that's included here. There's still issues that we need to address, and I look forward to working with Chairman Van Hollen and our counterparts in the House of Representatives to solve these issues during the conference. Generally, I think there's too much emergency designated spending spread across these bills. Spending designated as an emergency is exempt from the discretionary spending limits. For a spending priority to be truly an emergency, it should be necessary, it should be urgent, it should be unforeseen, and it should be not permanent. Some of the spending in these bills don't meet that criteria. However, my main concern is the $6.6 billion budget gimmick in this bill that proposes to take phantom savings from the Children's Health Insurance Program. To my knowledge, it's the first time that this offset has been included in the FSGG spending bill. It doesn't belong here. The reason I call this a gimmick is because it pretends to cut spending that will never be spent, and then it turns around and spends that on something that's made up savings on something else. In conference, it's my aim to replace this gimmick with real savings. For example, mandatory funds from the IRS enforcement account that were rescinded last year on a bipartisan basis. Notwithstanding this concern, given the many positive elements of this bill and the importance of moving the bill forward through regular order through a conference process with the House, I support this bill today, and I thank my colleagues for their support.